At first glance, it looked like any ordinary key, rusted, worn, heavy with age, and forgotten in the shadows of time. But the moment I touched it, I felt a pull, as if it carried whispers from a past no one was meant to hear. For over a century, it had sat hidden, guarding its secret, waiting silently for someone curious enough to uncover the story it held. And when I finally discovered what it opened, I realized this key had chosen me, guiding me to a mystery lost to time. I first found the key in the attic of a house I had recently inherited. The house had been abandoned for decades, left untouched, and silent, as if time itself had decided to leave it behind. Dust coated the floors, cobwebs stretched across every corner, and forgotten objects from generations past were scattered about like silent witnesses to a forgotten life. Among the piles of old furniture, broken boxes, and stacks of yellowed papers, I found a small wooden box, cracked and worn by age. Inside it rested the key. Cold, heavy, and smooth from the touch of countless hands long gone, it seemed ordinary at first, yet the air around it carried a sense of weight, as if it held a truth too great to be ignored. The key bore a faint inscription along its shaft, worn almost to invisibility: "What is hidden must remain hidden." The words were a warning, or perhaps a plea, etched carefully but faded with time. It was impossible to tell who had written them or why, but the moment I read the inscription, I felt a shiver run down my spine. There was something deliberate in the way it had been carved, as if the person who made it had intended for someone, someday, to find it. And now, here it was, in my hands, daring me to uncover its story. Looking closer, I realized the key was far from ordinary. Its design was intricate, with delicate curves and patterns that spoke of skilled craftsmanship. It likely dated back to the late 1800s, forged by a master blacksmith at a time when keys were more than tools. They were symbols of trust, secrecy, and authority. This key had belonged to someone who valued discretion above all else, someone who had a secret worth protecting. And yet, somehow, it had survived the passage of time, waiting for me to discover it. Curiosity consumed me. I began testing the key on every lock I could find in the house. Desks, drawers, old trunks, even doors that had been sealed for decades. Nothing fit. The key refused to cooperate. Each attempt left me more frustrated and more captivated. Some mysteries, I realized, demand persistence. The more they resist, the more they pull you in, binding your thoughts to them, until you can think of nothing else. Days passed, and I began to feel as if the key was alive, as if it were guiding me towards something I could not yet see. Then, one evening, while moving an old wardrobe, I noticed something peculiar in the wall behind it. It sounded hollow, unlike the solid wooden panels around it. My curiosity sharpened. I pressed gently, and to my surprise, the panel shifted slightly, revealing a hidden compartment. It was subtle, almost imperceptible, and yet I could feel the anticipation building in the air. Within the hollow cavity lay a small, delicate lock, unlike anything I had ever seen before. It seemed fragile, yet it had endured decades untouched, guarding whatever lay beyond it. I inserted the key, and for a heartbeat, it resisted. Then, slowly, it turned. The lock clicked open with a sound that echoed through the silent attic. I held my breath as I slid the small compartment open, revealing its contents: a single envelope, yellowed with age and tied with a faded string. On the front, in a handwriting that trembled with emotion, was a single word: confession. I unfolded the fragile paper inside. It was a letter, dated 1903. The handwriting was uneven, almost desperate, each line speaking of regret and sorrow. The words revealed a story of betrayal, ambition, and a family torn apart. To whoever finds this, it began, I cannot carry this burden beyond my grave. I have wronged those I loved most. My wealth was built on lies, my brother cast aside, and the world praises my name while I deserve only silence. The weight of those words pressed down on me, heavy with guilt and sorrow that had lingered unseen for over a century. Reading further, I realized the letter described events that had reshaped an entire family's life. Promises broken, fortunes stolen, trust destroyed, and a legacy built on deception. The author had hidden this truth away, determined that no one would ever know, no one would ever question the carefully constructed facade of success. And yet, through some twist of fate, the key had survived, and now the story demanded to be heard. The attic felt alive with the echoes of the past. I could almost see the people the letter described, living in moments of fear and regret, the weight of their secrets pressing down around me. It was as if the key had unlocked not only a compartment but a voice frozen in time. A voice that had waited, patiently, for over 100 years, for someone who could finally understand it. I placed the key on the table beside the letter and sat back, letting the enormity of what I had discovered sink in. The key had connected me to something larger than myself, something human and tragic, yet deeply compelling. It had reminded me that objects are not lifeless. They carry memory, emotion, and history. They hold fragments of lives that can speak across time if we are willing to listen. And it left me with a question I cannot shake. Why was the key left in plain sight? Was it meant to be found, or was it merely abandoned by chance? Did the person who created it hope that someone, someday, would uncover the secret, or was it a final, ironic twist of fate? Perhaps we are all just discovering what others before us tried to conceal. One key. One letter. One story. And yet, countless objects around us, in attics, drawers, basements, and forgotten corners, are waiting to reveal their own secrets. Each one carries a whisper from the past, a mystery yearning to be discovered. It is up to someone to find them, to listen, to unravel the stories hidden in plain sight. If this story captured your imagination, imagine the countless secrets waiting for discovery in the objects around you. Subscribe, and join me as we uncover the mysteries that time forgot. Because sometimes, the simplest object can hold the most extraordinary truth. And sometimes, it waits a lifetime to be found.